Welcome to yet another showcase here at Kerfuffle with a wonderful Joe Tatum wearing a resplendent pink hat. I want to know, have you got the deluxe model? Why is yours more pink than mine? That's
because it's probably not been washed yet. I'm hoping yours have been in the wash. The amount of times that you wear them.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, and then what will be a real surprise to people is Matt Nicol again. So, hello, Matt. We're going to have a lovely, loose conversation with Joe and Matt here today, talking about how Moneypenny have supported agents during the COVID-19, and of course continue to do that. And you've got some quite exciting stuff. You're going to be talking about how you've helped agents and continue to help agents there. So I guess just if we can just kick off just to start off with, Joe, how did the lockdown impact Moneypenny? From obviously, as I assume everyone, it was a bit brutal. But given the nature of of what you do for people there, I'm guessing you saw a spike compared to many other businesses, didn't you?
Yeah, we definitely did. And, for those that know of Moneypenny, you'll know that we're a large team, over 700 of us that are based in our amazing office. So we're all usually working under one roof. So like many others, we had to move really fast to transition to home working, which was completely alien to the majority of Moneypennies. So we were quick to react to it early on, and we started to prep for lockdown scenario probably when the first cases were being reported. So as a team, our IT and ops team did an amazing job in getting the best part of 700 of us working from home, which and we've been doing that since.
I mean, that's not just like with a service like yours. That's not just giving somebody a laptop, is it?
No, it isn't. Two departments I would definitely glad of not being involved in was IT and operations at that time, but hats off to them. They did an absolutely amazing job. So I think the fact that we were able to do that, though, Simon, we invested in technology early on, such as Twilio that supports our call answering service. We also utilize MS Teams, Microsoft is MS Teams, isn't it? The other one, Zoom and Workplace. We also have our intranet as well. So those are things that we would already been utilizing. So I think it put us in a really good position before, than most people actually. So it made it quite easy for us to then transition over.
I think it's fair to say most people obviously know you as a people business by definition. I'm sure Matt will back it up, but everyone talks about the jealousy they have when sometimes when they talk about their own staff compared to the way your guys answer those phones, just seemingly whatever you're putting in their tea or coffee, so quickly, it's really good. But actually, one lesser known thing that I think actually is so important to understand about Moneypenny is that heavy investment in tech that you make yourselves. That your tech department is truly something to be admired. Maybe people don't realise that because actually it is the personable face that they come across. But you invest so much, don't you, into making those two work hand in glove together that it does make it look seamless.
It does. And that's what we're all about. We're all about the extraordinary people that we have answering calls, answering chats, the sales team, the support teams. But inevitably, it works hand in hand with the great technology. So we're very fortunate to be able to develop lots of products that we bring to market internally as well. So that's from understanding our clients from all different sectors, not just from the property sector. We work with over 13,000 businesses and they come from all areas. But that's what we do. We listen to them and we take on board, and then we can go away and develop, but using technology. Sorry, my kitten's just going ballistic at the side of me. I'm so sorry. Caesar, yeah. So, you're right. It is about the people, but it's also about the technology that runs alongside it.
If I know anything about cats, that won't be the end of it. It's going to be doing all that sort of routine.
Pulled out the network cable.
Well, that was pretty. Yeah, that's a very jealous cat there, isn't it? In terms of it's gone straight for the Ethernet. Well, I suppose it was inevitably going to happen, wasn't it, Matt? Given that I'm spending more time with you than my the missus at the moment, we will be left together. Here she is. Brilliant.
That could well have been the cat.
It was perfect timing.
Oh, grief. I know. I'm so sorry. What do they say? Never work with children and animals. Lesson one, animals.
They are jealous lovers, kittens. Okay.
Oh my gosh. So sorry.
Absolutely. And so Matt, I know we're talking about, but were you using the Moneypenny phone service as well previously?
Yeah, so we've been using Moneypenny for our call overflows and also our live chat probably now for, I'd say, getting on for 3 years, 2 to 3 years, and it's been a brilliant resource for us. We recognise obviously during the period where we were all kind of forced into a lockdown to work from home that we, similar to Moneypenny, needed to get our tech to a certain point because there was still a lot of phone calls coming in whilst the offices weren't open, and we found that kind of the synergy between us and Moneypenny was great because when we couldn't get to that answer, we couldn't get that phone quick enough because, we had a few technical issues. Yeah. People seeing a normal level of service. And as Joe no doubt will talk about later on, that the kind of the training that their staff go through, the quality that they do deal with those calls, it feels like they were talking to a Nickel & Co member of staff anyway. So, we've been with them for 2 or 3 years, and it's been nice to be on the journey with them with things that they've now started to bring in as well, and actually be able to give a bit of an input in terms of how we've needed them to help us out with other items, and they've really listened and they've worked very hard to get it rolled into quickly.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, look, we again, it was no one wanted this. Very few were able to predict it as well. But I'm guessing as you went into this, you couldn't have thought of a better partner, really, could you, to be able to cope for that? Because otherwise, you would have been scratching around. Well, how do we make sure the calls are being answered? So really being able to very quickly switch across to them as a resource. Because I'm guessing. I mean, we'll come back. In fact, we'll come to it now. How did the call numbers change, though? Because what I was just about to say is you must have seen a big explosion in that. And although I say, it's fantastic, you've got all these resources of 700 people, you will have been working your business model on a certain amount of calls and everything else. And that must have just skyrocketed. So how did you cope with that? What happened to those call numbers?
Well, we did actually see a steep decline in volumes. I think it was around about the 9th of March. That decline then continued until about the 6th of April, and then it plateaued. And then again around about the 11th of May, I think it was, when the market reopened in England, we saw volumes then really zoom up again. So there was a massive peak in those, and they've continued to increase ever since. Another interesting thing of going back into calls, we've also seen trends around call duration. Okay. So at the beginning of lockdown, we saw some of the longest calls that we've ever had in property. And I think that all comes down to, people wanted that reassurance, they wanted clarity. And we all know, as it's human nature, that you want to reach out to someone for support. And in a pandemic, that was more evident than ever, especially, in the property world where, buyers wanted to know what was happening. So sales progression calls there were definitely some peaks in those.
Just being there then, really, in the way that we were talking about being there for our friends, family and everything, but also in a business sense there, that was, and it sounds obvious now we say it, doesn't it? But it really was, because so many, Matt will know better than anyone, and I'm sure in his competitor landscape out there were some that seemingly closed the doors and almost just stopped and gave up, didn't they, there? So, that would have, clearly if you're selling or more, I suppose letting with them as well, that would have set up the alarm bells going. So, you would have been quite, on the phone. And I think, if I'm reading into it, of course, I would have imagined that the calls spiked straight away, but actually we did hit a brick wall, didn't we? And no one was doing anything for at least a couple of weeks before it started picking up again.
Yeah. So chat volumes have remained, so like going on to live chat, their volumes have remained pretty much consistent throughout it all. However, property chats, we've had about a 20% increase from where they were pre-lockdown. So that's an interesting one as well. So I think people were sat at home.
So that's is that a change in behaviour, or actually just that there's just more in general inquiries?
Yeah, I think a combination of both, to be honest. But people were obviously furloughed from their jobs, and they were sat at home. And what have they got to do? They browse the internet, they start looking at things, and I think live chat gave them the option then of just having general conversations with agents, etc., just to test the market, really see what was happening, see what their options were. So I think it's a combination of both with that.
Well, you've got a big fan already. I mean, we've got one on as well, but Simon Paget, we use Moneypenny and their staff are fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
You know what? I mean, it sounds like the wrong sort of challenge, but I've never heard anyone who says other than that. I don't know who your training gurus are, but they must be like Yoda-like in their ability.
They're amazing. But it's about the people at the end of the day. We recruit on attitude, a can-do attitude. You can teach people to use systems, but it's that personality, it's that willingness to do things, going that extra mile. That's what our people are all about. But our training team are amazing. Who would have thought that we'd be recruiting? I think it's up until the end of August, about 50 new people as well. What an amazing opportunity that is for us as a business to be bringing some new faces into the world of Moneypenny as well.
You're going to need another building, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, there was an email about that the other day. Something.
I wouldn't put it past him, Simon. I'm sure that's in the plans anyway. But I went up and Joanne invited me up to go and see operations there, and it's a stunning building, and the big building that they kind of had space to grow anyway. They'd always kind of prepared themselves for that opportunity, and the training setup, the classroom that they got there, and I was lucky enough to just kind of watch and observe from the outside. It's just fantastic. You can tell why the staff are also engaged, the culture's so good, because the place just makes you feel good going to work. It really does, and it does come through in obviously the service they provide. And as Simon said, they are fantastic, from whether it's live chat or phone service. You get the same. It's consistent, and that for me as a business owner is something that we obviously wanted to make sure that we got. We can't deal with all the phone calls. We're not in 24/7, whereas Moneypenny are. So that's great for us.
And I think that what Joe was saying there as well, in terms of, we put the staff first, and we train on attitude. I'm not being funny, but these are all platitudes that we hear from so many businesses, aren't they? And the thing about that Moneypenny, that as you said, Matt, that is these are one of the few companies that really delivers on that. And as you said, quite often they will have all of the quotes out their staff coming first, and then you could conceivably see somebody who didn't believe in the way that they'd just have the kind of the battery hen approach, isn't it? Fill them all into an office, and you can hear everyone in the background buzzing away. And as you said, everyone who has had, and in fact, Gary Hardy's just jumped up here and just said, I had the fortune of visiting Moneypenny and sitting with them while calls were being handled. Outstanding, incredible office, and people never felt more welcome, especially in Wales. I don't know if you got a bit racist at the end of that, but
we'll let you off on that one.
The England-Wales banter will continue, no matter what.
Only where rugby is concerned.
Yes, of course. Yes, exactly.
Sorry, Matt.
So, can you give us some examples, Joe, of where Moneypenny has had to sort of pivot to adapt to this new climate? We spoke about obviously how you've had to migrate your staff, but is there any other ways that you've had to change what you do?
There's through the whole of this, we've kept doing what we're good at. So we've helped our clients with their own fluctuating volumes. So especially more recently, when the market reopened, demand, it definitely surged, as we've already said. Lots of agents still had their staff on furlough. So you know, we saw an increase of about 42% in calls as a result of that. And then just the same kind of figure, really, that 42% of those calls coming in were resulting in an inquiry. So what we had to do then is look at what we could bring to the market. So we realized early on that agents would benefit from a wider support from us. So we revamped the final development of training, which we needed to bring some new services to the market. So that's one thing that we did. We held lots of focus groups. So Matt was actually part of our focus group as well to find out what agents' needs were. So we've always known that agents would say we were great at answering calls, we're great at live chat, but wouldn't it be great if you could do other things? So that's what we've been working on for a long time. But I think COVID-19 lockdown definitely spearheaded that, and we fast-tracked a lot of things. So we've got a new product that Matt was beta tester for, which is our... I have to remember the name of it. It's a self-screening bot. It's nothing to do with being healthy. It's a self-screening bot. So yeah, thanks to Matt, we've brought this product to market now, which is great. So Matt can actually let you know what it does and how it does it.
So where did the formative idea for this come from then? Was it you obviously thought of this in-house and then you sort of tested it in those round tables with the agents? Is that right?
We had the focus groups with agents just to get an idea of where they could see Moneypenny fulfilling other things other than answering calls and chats. We'd already been looking at a bot option pre-COVID, but that was more about dealing with live chat, focused on triaging chats and lead capture. But then we realized that bringing this forward even quicker would then help agents in the here and now. COVID-19 was something that needed to be addressed when they were going back into office, and this is one thing that we, you know, as I say, we fast tracked through, and thankfully Matt was the person that came on board and fed back to us and went out and started using it.
Okay, so talk us through what it does then.
So in essence, we as a business coming back into being able to show people around properties, we wanted to do a health assessment for each of our clients that were due to view with us. And our clunky process, we talked in PropTech 3.0 the other day about the efficiencies that you need from PropTech, and this is where Moneypenny really kind of came into their own. But our clunky process was we were sending a Adobe Echo Sign document for them to complete the thing and send it back to us. That is extra faff for staff who have already got loads of phone calls coming in, trying to book valuations and deliver a good service. So Sarah, Joanne, and the rest of the team at Moneypenny, they really focused on getting this chatbot onto our website in a quick timescale, so that now we could confirm that the client, from our point of view, is okay to view the property. We send them a link. They then had to go on via the link, put their name and email address in, complete the questions, and then we get on email back. It saved about 10 minutes for every single viewing we were booking. And, you know, we reported in previous kerfuffles the number of viewings that we've done. We have reduced our number of viewings, but if we had 10 minutes wasted on everyone we were trying to do an Adobe with, not to mention the number of times you have to chase it because they haven't known how to work it out and all that kind of stuff. So this bot sits on our website now. We just send them a link to it. It pops up on the side anyway. They complete their details, answer 4 questions. If it comes back with an answer that isn't sufficient, then it flags it for us to be able to contact them and go through it. So if they have had COVID-19, then we obviously need to contact them and find out exactly when that was and those bits and pieces. But it just solves the whole problem to screen someone rather than us having to send a load of forms. And the staff love it. It's just made that process so much easier. And I talked about trying not to bring too much tech in at once, but the tech that we brought to the table has been to make life easier, and they appreciate it. Staff appreciate when you're trying to make their job a little bit easier, because it has been busy. Obviously, we know it's been a bonkers market. So
Yeah, but it's not just about making things easier, is it? Coming back first, first and foremost, it's about looking after your staff as well, isn't it? And that, again, one of these often overused things, health over wealth. Well, you can say that, but if you're not doing anything about it, it's kind of a wasted comment. So I think it's really interesting, and we'll come on to. I'm sure that's been very well received. Has there been any pushback against it at all? Is there anyone that's sort of, I'm not talking about the kind of what's going on in America with people trying to take people's masks off, but has anyone found it intrusive or anything like that?
No, I think from a consumer point of view, they've appreciated that it's the way that we work. And I know some agents do it differently, and some we know aren't taking PPE out, and some aren't even asking the questions. And that's their thing, not ours. At least we can kind of look at our staff honestly in the eye and say we're doing everything we can to make sure you're safe. And that clunky process with the PDF, for anyone that was using that before, they hated that. They really did. And there was nothing we could do about it. That was just the quickest way that we thought we could fix things. And it was brilliant that Moneypenny said, look, okay, we've got it. It's now ready. Tell us your questions you're asking. We'll add them in. We had a real kind of good dialogue on the chat functionality, make sure it was similar to the way that we talk to people. And within a heartbeat, it was rolled in. And the staff like it. Consumers prefer it. They can do it on a mobile device. They can do it on a desktop. It's fit for the purpose. It really does. It meets the need. So it's been good for us. And like I said, some agents out there don't do any of these questions, and I'd rather at least offer it, but not make it too hard for anyone to use. That's the important bit.
Mm-hmm.
Was it easy to set up then? Is the process to go live with it okay?
Yeah, from our point of view, we worked with 22 Group for our website, and they got the script from Moneypenny, and they had it added in within, I think, probably 24 hours. We then checked it a couple of times first before sending the link out to the staff, and then we got it built into our repit. So when we send a text message to confirm a viewing, the link goes straight onto it, and it's done and dusted. It emails out to the branch email addresses, so everyone in their own branch can see everyone that's done a reply, not just specifically a single negotiator's getting responses. You can work as an office to get that information back in. So from a web team point of view, they brought it in pretty quickly for us, and it was just a script, I think.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's a piece of coding that's really easy just to add on to the website.
How long from your side then, Joanne, does it take to get somebody up and live?
With the screening bot, 24 hours, as Matt said. It's really simple. It's just a case of putting together the questions that you want us to ask. We have suggestions, but you can come up with your own. I think, Matt, you came up with your own for it as well, didn't you? I think so.
Yeah, they weren't
really
too far away, but yeah,
from what we
suggested originally, but it was the same ones that we've been giving out on the PDF. So we just kind of copied and pasted it across, and we're the same answers we were expecting to get, or the same questions. So
okay, encourage everybody, have a look at the landing page. We'll have this uploaded there as well for anyone to view later on. Once more, thank you very much, Joanne and Matt, and catch up with you both soon.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.